CAF TV is back for 2016. Welcome everybody. Alex Bastiavansky along with CAF Director Phil Ionati for another season of the Canadian Academy of Football. It's going to be a great year this year. All the stories, all the highlights, all the excitement from CAF. Now, if you don't know what CAF is, meet Director Phil Ionati. Welcome back for another year. How exciting is this?
Fantastic. Excited to see a 2016 season.
5th year for CAF, 2nd year for the television show. We're back. We're excited. The highlights are going to be starting up this weekend with lots of games on tap. But, you know, for Phil, if anyone might have missed the show last year, God forbid, but if they did miss all of our CAF episodes, tell everybody about the Canadian Academy of Football and what it is.
Well, the growth has been fantastic. You know, it started in 2012, and we're really excited now this coming year that we have a lot of new members. You know, and the membership comes down to people out there who have their, you know, they run their own programs, but we bring everyone under one family, and that's CAF, right? We're now up to close to 150 teams, 40 new members. And we just organize it, we structure it. It's all about a development program that helps provide a pathway. You know, that was the method of it from day one. And how do we provide that pathway? Well, we need a pyramid of play. And, you know, this year we're excited because we've actually have a little bit the top of the pyramid of play, which we'll, I guess, discuss a little bit.
We're going to discuss all that, yeah. So last year, it was the first year of the CAF Super Group. Okay, now, it was an under 14 group. To say that it was a success would be an understatement. It was an absolutely incredible year. 6 teams taking part last year. What are some of the things that you were most proud about the Super Group in its first year last year?
Well, it always starts with the vision, Alex, right? So the vision was, how do we provide these players an opportunity to understand what it takes to get to the next level? Well, that means let's walk into a stadium, let's have our own change rooms, let's have a national anthem, let's
which the kids loved, all that stuff.
You did a fantastic job. We talked about that last year, and how amazing was it? You know, the feedback we got was incredible. You know, we have people come from overseas, coaches, international coaches, come watch games and say, hey, we don't even do this back home. You know, again, it's key that they understand what it takes to be a professional and the steps of it, and it's critical. And this year we've seen the growth into different divisions. So, you know, and having the highlights and people seeing great goals. You know, you look back and you watch some
top 5 every week, baby.
Yeah, Roger's did a fantastic job. So you're looking at the highlights
and some live games as well, which we'll also have again this year. The flagship franchise last year in CAF was Epic FC. They were the Ontario provincial champions. They were the national champions. An incredible story, plus 3 players named off that squad to the identified for the National Men's Excel program in, I got to mention the names, I have to do it, Moises Corona, Carson Larrabee, and Ronaldo Marshall. What an incredible story Epic FC was last year.
And those are success stories that we love. We love seeing teams do well, players do well. Again, that's part of the pathway. You know, hats out to Dave Marno, who's the director of the program for Epic, and he has a great staff with Manny
Corona, of course, head coach,
and Lyndon Marshall as well. Those guys there put time, for many years, and you see the rewards from hard work, commitment, discipline. We hope that our program helped them prepare for a championship in the Ontario Cup, which they did. They were successful. It was at the finals. They went to penalty shots, won the penalty shots, and then represented Ontario. They went to represent Ontario and won the nationals. Not only that, they went to Disney in December and they won the Disney tournament. So these are the kind of things that we want to do to help the players, provide them that pathway, work together with the national coaches like Paul Stalteri, who's the under-17 coach, who see these players ongoing, and how can we provide these super groups. So there's videos of them, they're watching what they're doing and push them week in, week out. Great success story for Epic. So proud of them and happy that they're part of our program.
Another great program last year, Dragon Force, which is based out of Bradford, and Dragon Force ended up with an association with FC Porto, something you were instrumental in as well. You traveled to Portugal and you watched it happen.
Yeah, Luis Andres is a fantastic person. He has a vision in himself. And what ended up happening there is they asked me to go with them to Porto and met the president there of Porto. It was an amazing experience for myself, where I got to sit down and watch a Champions League game there, and they introduce us to the whole structure of Porto, how they go from a youth system right to the top, that pathway, and things that we're trying to do here with CAF, right? Obviously, we won't have the professional club, but those are the partnerships that we'll talk about again with Toronto FC and other international clubs. That do we have that base that we can show them a structure at each piece of the pyramid to hopefully succeed to get to the next level. And Porto does
only 45 seconds left. I was going to say about that, though, one of the really cool things that the kids loved, they even talked about it, was Dragon Force was already implementing the Porto system into their club.
Yeah.
The kids, in terms of how they structured their attacks and defense and everything like that, which was fascinating, I found. The kids loved it.
You know what, Alex? They brought 2 coaches from Porto to live here, and that's amazing. Now all of a sudden they're putting their flavor into Canada, and they do a great job. Last year they were, I think, the top country in the world, top club in the world to sell players. Over 127 million euros. So great, exciting, looking for a good partnership moving forward.
Excellent. So much more to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. More CAF TV coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to CAF TV, our first episode of the year, and I'm joined in the studio by CAF Director Phil Ionati as we fill you in on the upcoming CAF season. And Phil, last year there was one super group for the entire year. It was the under-14 group, as mentioned before. And this year, 3 groups, 3 super groups. You got an under-14, under-16, and an open group, so a lot of expansion this year.
Yes, Alex. You know what, and that's anything you do in life. If you have organic growth, you love to see that, and you don't want to ever stay static. And our goal is, again, we keep talking about that pathway, that pyramid. And now from U14, we have the U16, and we have the open age. So we're really excited at the growth where we're going in that direction to provide every age that kind of experience of a stadium experience, of a high level experience. Games that are being done even on television. So those are the things we're working towards. Yeah.
So the open group. This is your baby. This is something you were really excited about when we talked about it in the off season. Open group, meaning of course open age. Adults are joining up in this group. Talk about the open group and why this was so important to you.
Well, you know what, the whole program is important. Right? We have our U8, 9s all the way to the U open age, but it's providing that that dream for that players who are 9 and 10 years old to see that those games on television in a stadium that they want to be part of it. You have to build that mentorship for senior players who are doing well, like Jonathan Osorio that came from Clarkson Soccer Club that went over and played in the CSL, then eventually went to play with Toronto FC. Those are success stories that I think through this program could help young kids who are at 9, 10, 11, 12 and say by the time I'm 13, 14, I want to be playing in the super group because I want to be in that environment. So we're really excited that each age category will just continue to benefit the young players. But you're right, it was a special project that I wanted to be part of, and because I truly believe that it will motivate players to get to that next level, that they want to be there at the game early, have the right structure in place, the discipline to say, hey, this is what it takes to get to the next level.
Right, and one of the clubs joining the open group in its inaugural season will be, well, pretty much the oldest professional soccer club in North America, which is Toronto, Croatia. A team that was perennial champions in the Canadian Soccer League and just champions last year as well. And they are joining up in the CAF Super Group. Toronto, Croatia, that's a pretty big get for the league, isn't it?
You know what, it's fantastic for them. This year is a big year for them of being recognized in many ways. And for us, we're really excited because those kind of players that can help, again, motivate the younger ones to play with guys that played overseas, that have that kind of experience, and even for the young ones. So one thing about Toronto, Croatia, with a long-term history, is now they have a chance to have that full pyramid of play. The youth system, work with the clubs in their areas to get players to that maybe have that kind of heritage as well to say, hey, listen, does Toronto Croatia have an academy? Can they put teams in the youth system? So there's that pathway to say, okay, I go from a 9-year-old all the way to a super group under 14, 16, and I even play with the first team. It's so critical in the growth, which will eventually help our development system in Ontario and in Canada, to find that next talent that's coming out.
And we talk about history. They have been around now since 1956. 1976, they were the Soccer Bowl champions. Now, for those of you who might be a little younger and don't know what that is, for the old North American Soccer League, they were the champions in 1976 as Metros Croatia. It was. My father actually played, if I'm doing a little plug here for my dad in case he's watching, back in 1972 my dad actually played for Metros Croatia, or for Toronto Metros, pardon me, that then became Metros Croatia. Metros Croatia 1976 Soccer Bowl champions, and that is what's going to be honored this year. Actually, you alluded to this, by Toronto FC. Just talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we were actually with them, and it's the 10th year anniversary for Toronto FC, and they wanted to respect the game and what's happened over in this country, and especially in Ontario and Toronto. So having Toronto, Croatia, or Metros Croatia winning the championship back in '76 was a huge accomplishment. So they really want to recognize those players. You know, people like Bob Arushi, Marco Antonio, Eusebio was on the team. You know, when do you ever see that type of talent here in Canada when they were playing against Pelé? So it's a really special day, and you know, we're going to have our members from CAF out there respecting history, because it's very important to understand the amount of work and commitment it took to get to that level. You know, and hopefully, you know, we can continue, you know, with that kind of history through our young players.
And teams, all the different age groups in CAF are going to be playing at specific stadiums, so different stadiums, but each group will be staying at the same stadium on that specific day, isn't that right?
Yeah, so the super groups, and the majority of the games will be at Centennial Stadium, the Soccer Center, and the last one is Esther Shiner Stadium.
Esther Shiner, yeah.
So those games there are at one facility, managed by, you know, the staff, you know, conveners there. So it's just a nice environment, so everyone can watch multiple games. You know, watching just one or two, you can watch 7 games on a Sunday afternoon. You know,
you pay your $5 to get in, and you're in for the entire day at the stadium, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So and we saw some of the excitement, which we're going to get to in a second to talk about more. But the excitement of having all these people congregating in one place too, right, and watching the other teams.
Well, there's a buzz, right? So think about it. You're going to have potentially up to 1,000 people because there's games going on. So if your game is at 4 o'clock, you're going to get there early, and there might be a game going on. You're watching that game.
Right.
Yeah. After your game is done, you're going to go watch the next game, because you want to see what's going on.
Exactly.
So it's kind of an environment where, you know, I played in something like that a while ago, where you know, it was all at one stadium, games were there, and it was just an amazing environment.
Yeah, and a chance for the teams to scout each other as well as for future competition. But you know what, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about a great new association that CAF has with TFC. More CAF TV coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to CAF TV. Alex Bastiabansky in the studio, joined by CAF Director Phil Ionati, and we're talking about some exciting stuff. It's the launch of the 2016 CAF TV season, and league play gets underway this coming weekend. We're talking about now something that's, well, it's huge for the league, something that you worked very hard at, and something very exciting, which is a new association between CAF and Toronto FC. We're going to get to CAF Day at BMO in just a second, but first let's talk about the association and how this all came about.
Well, it started last year. One of the things when we had all the members with us in the room at our meeting, I was like, guys, it's important that we support professional soccer, and it's mandatory that if you're part of our program, that every player will receive 2 TFC tickets to support professional soccer. It's so important, like I said earlier, that we have heroes in the game, Alex. How do these young, you know, generation players that want to make the next level find a hero where they can go home and mimic? Listen, when we were young, we were like, Wayne Gretzky, top corner. We were saying that, you know. For me, you know, watching Roberto Baggio, watching Platini, those were in my era, and I enjoy watching those players. This is what's critical about finding the TFC, the Javinkos, the Rosarios, the Canadian player, you know, that we have to promote and say, hey, listen, that player came from the system. Why can't you? So it's all about building heroes and supporting professional soccer in our country, which I think is the right thing to do, and it will make us stronger as an organization.
3 times over the past few weeks, it was CAF Day at BMO. Over 1,000 CAF players were there on the opening day anyway. I was there filming some of the events. First of all, the excitement was unbelievable. The new stadium looked incredible. The kids were pumped, as you're seeing in the footage right now. It was loud, they were proud. They were the ball boys, they were the flag bearers. Just what a thrill for those kids. What a great event.
You know what, and hats goes off to TFC for putting this together. You know what, they realize how important it is to get out to the community, how to work together with the young players and get them involved in the game. And like you said, when walking out with a player, what a dream that could be. You know, we're holding the flag up, holding the Canadian flag, the TFC flags, everything, a fan tunnel, all those experiences that those players remember for the rest of their lives. It's critical. It's critical because now all of a sudden they find this new passion for a franchise that is growing and has some success now. And when everyone connects, all of a sudden pulling the same direction, that's when you see success happening. And we're looking forward to a great future in professional soccer in our country. We need it.
And we're looking at a good little shot here too of Phil's son walking out with Javenko. Not bad. Now, who was more excited, him or you, about that?
No, he was. For sure. He was. It was ironic.
I'm sure Dad was pretty proud too, though, and excited.
You know what? At the end of the day, again, you find these heroes, and when you sit down at home and you're playing a little bit of PlayStation once in a while, and he's Javinko. It's fun and it's enjoyable. So having someone's dream come true and meet somebody, he was lucky enough to actually walk out with him too. So those are experiences that you talk about. That hey, listen. Now you got to actually go out there and play like him. What are you doing? Go home, do the step over, do the cut, do all the things that he does. And that's exciting. That's exciting to see, and hopefully we can continue to build those relationships.
Yeah, it was really cool to watch. So one of the goals of CAF is to send players to the next level, whether it be TFC or over in Europe eventually, or to at some point American colleges or something, but to send them on to the next level to further their soccer careers. One great example, one of my favorite players from last year was the guy I used to call the Tiny Terror. From CAF Academy in Guelph, Marcelo Flores, whose father, Ruben, was a former player in the Mexican Professional League. A great player, great coach, and his son, Marcelo, making the move over to England. A great story. Talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? Couldn't be happier for a great little boy who has the passion and commitment. All he does is speak soccer, football, actually, day in, day out. Watching Barcelona highlights, mimicking things that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Here's a player last year, playing a year up, has the ability.
I believe 2 years up he was
has
playing.
the ability to do so, and all of a sudden he's showing how he can score a goal, to the far post, playing with the guys, understanding the game, and now he's had a chance to move to Europe now. He got picked up by an international club now with Ipswich, and he's there with their academy right now. The whole family moved over there. So these are success stories that we love to see. We love to see players come through the system, get that opportunity. They worked hard. They deserve it, and we're very happy and excited for his the future.
I'm going to miss some of his highlights, though. I mean, that kid scored some of the greatest goals last year. He was under 5 feet tall. He was just unbelievable playing against the bigger kids.
The
way he did.
The Messi of CAF.
The Messi was just, it was so much fun to watch. Another great player from CAF Academy, actually, who ended up making the provincial team when he was with CAF last year, was one of your favorites as well, Nick O'Reilly.
And there's no doubt in my mind this player has the ability to go to the next level through, again, commitment, through the right structure, through the right pathways. Why not? And that's something that we do. Do we provide the professional pathway or the academic one? And those are the projects that we work. And we want to support a provincial team. We want to support a provincial team, a national team. It's critical that us, as an organization developing these programs, work with our governing body, the OSA and the CSA, of how can we help? We're all in this together. At the end of the day, we're all here to develop the players, give them that opportunity to go to the next level. So we're really excited and proud of those players who've come to those accomplishments.
And not just the clubs and not just going to the provincial team, but as we mentioned as well, 3 guys from Epic going to the National Excel program, which is a huge boon to CAF and a huge boon to those guys too, having that kind of progression as well, right?
And again, it comes down to competition and good coaching within their programs, right? And we're proud of it, and I think there's a lot of future in the next few years that we continue to grow through these super groups to showcase the talent. We've
got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the upcoming weekend launch in CAF. More CAF TV in just a moment. Welcome back to CAF TV. Alex Bastiavansky joined by CAF Director Phil Iannotti as we talk about the upcoming weekend, the launch for the year in CAF. A lot of games taking place, and a few new academies this year as well. We're going to talk about a few of them, but one of them I know you're pretty excited about. Your former teammate, your friend, the man, the legend, Dwayne De Rosario, launching an academy within CAF. Talk about your background with Dwayne, though, first of all.
Wow. We go back and with the NTCO, that was the National Training Center for the National Program. Frank Dunleavy was our coach back then, and I think Dwayne I was 17, 18, Dwayne was 2 years younger, and we were at the Dallas Cup together. Obviously, back then they used to always train at Sheridan College, the U14s, 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s all together. And yeah, they took us to Dallas Cup, and Dwayne was just a standout there, can turn and hit on a dime and score goals. He was just unbelievable at the age of 15, 16. Then we played together with the Toronto Lynx for a bit. Doing again, just unbelievable. One of the best players probably I ever played with in my life.
Yeah.
In Canada, him and Thomas Rosinski was another one, but Dwayne was just a class of another. And very happy for him. He deserves everything he's accomplished. You know, one of the prolific goal scorers in Canada. And you know what? You know, his father, Tony De Rosario, and his brother Mark De Rosario, awesome people.
They are. I met them actually. They're great guys.
Fantastic. And you know, they came out to support us last year, and you could just feel the energy, and they love what we're doing. You know, and they have their program for developing kids, and they're joining us again to help their program and just be unified. It's amazing. We're excited to have them part of the family.
Yeah, and some of the other members starting up this year, you want to talk about them?
Yeah, we got a couple of new members as well. You know, it's very important to see that kind of growth, Alex. And we've seen it this past year with Pace coming in. We got Frozenona, you know, program coming in as well. Some people that are tied to professional clubs. That's very, you know, very critical in the growth. You know, Andrew Ornick was a former pro player, played in Europe. He's jumped on board to work with us as well with Dutch Connection. So, you know, we're very excited at the partnerships of the people out there that see it, and they're just coming together to compete. They want to compete, have a place where, you know, they're part of something, and that's what CAF does. It makes them feel like they're part of something. They compete. We get to watch other players. You know, on the field we work hard, you know, but after the game's over, you know, we shake hands and, you know, we say hi and we become unified, right? So this coming weekend we have all our games taking launch.
So we should point out, it's not just the super group, the under 14, 16s and the open group. We've got all sorts of age groups going on that are launching this weekend. You're excited about some of the stuff going on at Dixie and 407.
Yeah, I got the young ones going on. I'm really excited
under
about
that.
9s, 11s, and 12s, and you know, we got Toronto FC coming with all their floats, and you know, have that environment. It's key. You know, it's key. It's like a big, you know, tournament that they go to every week. You know, that they're there, they're watching other people, and it's you know, integration. It's integrating people together, communicating about the game that they love, and then watching the game that they love. So we're pretty excited that this weekend we'll have not only the the super group, you know, also with the super group with the open age, but also the young ones playing.
And the young ones are free. There's no charge on getting into that. There's no stadium or anything like that. People can just go out and watch and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. All games taking place on Saturdays and Sundays. Of course, you can go to CAFsoccer.com to see complete schedules for all the age groups, right? $5 gets you into the stadium. $5 gets you into the stadium, and you can sit there all day and watch the super groups play. For me, the defining moment last year, where just how exciting everything was the final day at Esther Shiner Stadium. Of course, you mentioned Dwayne was out, and Jonathan Nazario as well from TFC. The kids, I mean, there were about 1,000 kids there too throughout the day. The kids were so excited, first to get their medals and pick up trophies and stuff like that, but also just to see these guys, they're professionals who they looked up to.
And again, just think about the environment. Here's a stadium. You got the under 14 boys playing. You see the Epics, the Dragon Forces, all of them, and the upcoming talent, and you get to watch them meet Dwayne De Rosario, right? And we had, like you said, over the day, over 1,000 people, you know, in the stadium. It felt nice. The music was there. It's all about the environment and showing the players that pathway. We keep, you know, going back and reinstating the importance of those words, right? So, you know, and Jonathan Nazario, what a great person, what a great player. Came from the system. You know, he came out that day, you know, and building that relationship. You know, and that's key. You know, so hopefully we can find those players in our program. We can pass them on to hopefully TFC and those kind of partnerships that we're doing, even Porto. Who knows? Right. So we're really excited and look forward to a big season in 2016. 2016,
are we gonna have that kind of excitement this weekend, like we saw at the beginning and end of last year? Is it gonna be even better this year, you think?
I'm hoping that you know, as the season progresses, everyone sees through the show. Obviously, Rogers Television taking, you know, show every week and highlights and, you know, details, and also I think some live games going on as well, which is awesome.
There will be some mobiles out there too,
So, and that's critical. So do I think it's going to be an amazing year? I think it's going to be awesome. You're going to have, obviously, Toronto Croatia with 5 other teams in the Division of 6 in the open age category. You have the 14s and the 16s, some really great talent.
We're running out of time. We're just about out of time here. You're going to be back on the show, though, to discuss this throughout the year, of course. Thanks so much, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
CAFsoccer.com. There we go, CAFsoccer.com, to keep up to date on everything throughout the season. Get out there and watch this weekend, folks. More CAF TV coming up next week. Thanks for joining us on our first show of the year.